Hey guys, Attorney Walter Knott. I wanted to go ahead and start out tonight and just say thank you so much for being a part of this channel. I know that you get a lot of up-to-date information that is not like the usual BS that you get from these other disability channels. They're just selling and selling and selling you this fact that you're going to get this boost and this special this and this and this. I hope to give you guys the reality boost, the booster shot of reality, as opposed to something that which you have to question and go. I want you guys to understand specifically what's going on in the political market, not all the fluffy stuff that's really going on in the market. So let's get right to it. I want to talk about the Social Security 2100 Act. This is not some cutesy, low-level junk act, junk bill, junk, just threw it together with a freshman Republican, freshman Democrat base trying to like get excitement in the news. This is not one of those. These are the people who are supporting this. There's lots and lots and lots of co-sponsors, organizations, groups in general that support this. They're very excited about it. They want to be part of it. Here's the thing with it. It is essentially going to be the savior for the trust funds so that people can continue to receive the benefits that they do at the level that they want to. All right, real quick, I'm going to go into it. Then we're going to be spending a lot of today just going through and answering phone calls from people. I do have regular internet now. I'm sorry that some of the last couple of videos did not have good internet. I was all the way up in Maine. I'm still in Maine, but I mean like higher in Maine where a lot of the facilities, they don't have regular internet there. Also, we had a nor'easter, which knocked out the hotels and motels internet. Putting the phone number in the chat session right there. When you guys get a chance to say howdy to me, that's awesome. We'll go through. All right, I want to start specifically with this. This is from Congressman Horsford's introduction for groundbreaking legislation. That's not really groundbreaking. It's been around for a while, but it's really, really good legislation. Benny Hill, howdy, howdy. Here we go. If you guys want to know where it's at, it says horsford.house.gov. Congressman Horsford, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, introduces groundbreaking legislation to increase Social Security benefits for Nevada seniors. It's not groundbreaking. It's been around for a long time. Howdy, Garden. Howdy, Jackie. All right, here we go. Washington, D.C. And this was released on October 26, 2021. And today is, I think, the 28th. Yeah, 28th. So this was released 2 days ago. So this is like as up to date as it gets. Washington, D.C. Today, Congressman Stephen Horsford, Democrat Nevada, looks like 04, joined House and Ways and Means Committee, Social Security Subcommittee Chairman John B. Larson, Democrat, Connecticut, to introduce the Social Security 2100 Act. Groundbreaking legislation that will increase Social Security benefits for seniors and keep the system strong for generations to come. All right, I'll go through some of this other stuff. I know you guys aren't that interested in specifically how it affects Nevada. So let me just kind of go to the bullet points here real quick so you understand what this bill is about. So I'm actually not home yet. I'm at my parents' place up in Maine, and basically that's why I have regular internet. That's why you can see me normally now, as opposed to my 3-day vacation up towards the Bar Harbor area in Maine, which is where I love to go. So they took me up there because I did so much work on the farm, which is awesome. $100 raise for SSDI. There's no $100 raise that I've seen for SSDI other than basically what's going on with the 5.9% COLA increase. So in that regard, I mean, there's nothing in the books that I've seen. I mean, there might be something that just popped up yesterday, but I doubt it. All right, let's keep rolling through this. The Social Security 2100 Act, what does it give you, right? Provides benefit bump for current and new beneficiaries, provides an increase for all beneficiaries that is equivalent to about 2% of the average benefit. The U.S. faces a retirement crisis, and modest boost in benefit strengthens the one leg of the retirement system that is universal and the most reliable. Okay, so think of that almost like a COLA little mini boost. Okay, except it's not directly tied to obviously COLA. Protects again, that's for everybody. 2% increase for everybody. Okay, next one, protects against inflation, improves the annual cost of living adjustment COLA formula to better reflect the costs incurred by seniors through adopting a CPI-E formula. So this is the bill that's really pushing the agenda to switch you guys from the CPI-W to the CPI-E algorithm that defines your cost of living adjustment. Okay, this provision will help seniors who spend a greater portion of their income on healthcare and other necessities. Improved inflation protection will especially help older retirees and widows who are more likely to rely on Social Security benefits as they age. Now, as a side note, away from basically what's going on right now, I don't understand, and I thought the Democrats were in office. I thought that's what was going on, but like they're not pushing the legislation to make medication cheaper. It's weird. I don't know what's going on. I thought things were going to go very differently than it is. So, all right. Anyways, let's keep going. Protects low income workers. And here's the thing, you have like some really great Democrats that are like pushing the agenda, cheaper medication, higher benefits for retirees, more options for retirement groups to have more earned income, keep more of their benefits. Same thing for disability benefits. But then there's all these there's like, I don't know what it is. It's like 75% of the Democrats that don't want to do any of this stuff. It's weird. It's like 30% are like for the people, and then the other ones are a part of some club that I'm not aware of. So it's getting frustrating for me to watch what's going on with this, because I thought we would have medication cheapened, benefits increased, options for having income or non-countable or rather non-countable income increase. I thought we'd have all these things coming in, but we don't. It's just, they have a great opportunity here. They got the House and the Senate and the president. They can pass this stuff. Anyways, protects low-income workers. No one who paid into the system over a lifetime should retire into poverty. The new minimum benefit will be set at 25% above the poverty line and would be tied to wage levels to ensure that the minimum benefit does not fall behind. So here's the thing, guys. A lot of you don't realize with retirement that there's people who have retirement benefits on a monthly basis are $200 a month. Then they have to do a hybrid allowance or a concurrent allowance, which is where they give you SSI and your retirement just to get you up to almost $800 or right around $800. What this bill would do was say, okay, we don't need SSI anymore. We're just going to go ahead and give everybody a base fundamental of, around $1,300 per month. And that way, that's the base. Even if you got $400 in retirement per month, $200 in retirement per month, $1,000 in retirement a month, you would have a baseline. Okay. And that's important. You want everybody to have a baseline when they retire. All right, next one. Improves benefits for widows and widowers in two-income households. That's awesome. Repeals, and that's just to talk about that. Improves benefits for widows and widowers in two-income households. Okay, just think about that. These are the people that lost somebody. It helps them go ahead and retain more of the income benefit option. Repeals the windfall elimination provisions, WEP, and government pension offset, GPO, that currently penalize many public servants. That's an important one because a lot of people are getting caught up in that of paying into one system and another system, and then they cross it over and yada yada. Then they get hurt and they don't get as much as they should. Ends the 5-month waiting period to receive disability benefits. What they're talking about here is that when you basically, apply for SSDI benefits, they don't let you collect the first 5 months of basically, you applying. So let's say you apply here and you get found disabled here. The first 5 months that you applied, there's no way that you can collect back pay or, even if you claimed an alleged onset date before you filed, there's no way that you can claim retroactive benefits for those 5 months, which is not fair. The insurance companies did that stuff, so they copied it. Okay, next one. And not that the insurance companies are any moral standing ground that anybody should go by. Next one, provides caregiver credits to ensure the caregivers are not penalized in retirement for taking time out of the workforce to care for children or other dependents. I haven't read the new bill yet, but I bet you they included more stuff with that. That was more along the lines of what President Biden was pushing when he was trying to become president. I'll read it again. Provides caregiver credits to ensure that caregivers are not penalized in retirement for taking time out of the workforce to take care for children and other dependents. And usually when they say the dependents, the main thing they mean are like older family members. And usually they mean specifically females in this regard, because women are usually the ones who take off from work to care for elderly or ailing parents. Okay, next one. Extends dependent benefits for students through age 26 and includes part-time students. So this is interesting because what this is it's acknowledging that not every kid is going to be super successful with high school. And some of these kids don't just need to go to 22 to get through instead of your classic 18 or whatever. They need to go beyond that to 26. And this is acknowledging that there are some kids who have to get a job and work while they're older and still trying to finish high school. And I know some people may disagree with this rule, but in my opinion, I think this is a good rule. We want to give kids the best chance they can, and kids that have to work at a young age should be given that chance. I had to work on a farm when I was little. I was a stock boy at a music store. I was a computer tech for musical instruments. I was a library technician. I was a check-in person at a library. I was a barista. Like some of you guys didn't have jobs when you were really little. I had a bunch of them. Some of you guys had tons of jobs when you were little. You know, you probably saw some of the farm videos I just posted. I had to wake up at 5:30, go out there and water and feed the horses. Then like the big wow was when we got automatic waterers, but we still didn't have automatic feeders in the pastures. So the bottom line is, you know, if you guys notice I work all the time, it's because it would be weird if I didn't work all the like that's not it would be not normal for me to not work all the time. Let's keep rolling through this thing. Increases access to benefits for children who live with grandparents or other relatives. So I think what's important here is that there are familial, legal term, issues with the crossover as to who gets what when the traditional family unit, mom, dad, kids, isn't available. Who gets to be the parent? Who takes on those rights? And it starts to go through this, you know, structural question of what is a family. And in the law, we always define a family as very liberal. Like it could include anything, everything, whatever. It goes to the Supreme Court all the time. Well, not all the time, but the bottom line is they always a very liberal definition. As the law is, we do not, attorneys and judges, want to define family as a finite unit. We don't like that. That's not the American way, because most American families cannot always rely on the family being the traditional unit. And that's why we always tend to go ahead and lead away from those things. All right, next thing. This legislation strengthens the Social Security Trust Fund by having millionaires and billionaires pay the same rate as everyone else presently. Payroll taxes are not collected on wages over $142,800. This legislation would apply the payroll tax to wages above $400,000. All right, I want to explain how this works because I got a bunch of questions and you guys will email me and be like, hey, can you tell me how this works? And I'm like, no, I'm working at the law firm writing a brief. Catch up with me during the live. So here's how it works. Everybody pays Social Security taxes when you work and you have income up to $142,800, right? However, above that amount, people don't pay any Social Security taxes on income that they pay taxes on, right? So what they're saying is, okay, cool. So here's our $142,000, right? We're not going to charge people right here between $142,000 and $400,000. We're not going to charge people Social Security taxes right here for their earned income, but we are going to charge them right here at $400,000 and above for Social Security taxes. Now, for somebody earning $10 million, they're paying a lot of taxes, which is going to force a lot of those people to try and basically push whatever income they get into a privatized or nonprofit-based corporation that is actually existing in a foreign country that can then transfer those funds from Ireland to the Bahamas, whatever. So they're just going to play that game anyways. But some of them may get caught off guard in the first initial years, and that will help go ahead and flush money into the trust funds, okay? Because the trust funds are in trouble. The Steve Goss came out and said, hey, you know, we're looking at like 2033 sustainability for the retirement trust fund, and then I think it was like 2056, 2057 for the SSDI trust fund. And then remember, I'm going to do a video on more of this idea, but when you think who is, and it's ironic the answer, who is the most safe, I guess you would say the word safe, from losing their benefits, retired people, Social Security disability insured people, or SSI people? Ironically, the retired are the least safe. The Social Security disability insurance people are number 2 on that list for the least safe. And then the most safe, right? The absolute most safe are the SSI people because they come from generalized taxes. Crazy, right? It's crazy. Like the guys that didn't pay into the system are actually the most safe out of the SSDI people and the retired people. But this bill is trying to basically fix it so that everybody's safe. All right, let's go through this a little bit more. Anyway, so the point is people up to $142,000, they pay Social Security taxes. Anybody above that doesn't pay Social Security taxes on top of that. And here's why. Because there's no real benefit to those who are paying above that amount for Social Security taxes. It's not like they just get a retirement per month that's like massive, you know, just a massive, huge thing. That's why the rich are kind of getting screwed over in this deal a little bit, because it's not like they really get the benefit of it. And then there's this thing that they call the donut hole, which is in between 142,000 and 400,000. They're saying, look, we'll just increase this with, COLA increases over time or whatever. And then basically it'll get to this point where this 142,000 will equate to 400,000. And then everybody in the United States, no matter how much you earn, will go ahead and be charged Social Security taxes on whatever you earn in this country. Okay. Next thing, extending the depletion date when a 20% cut to benefits would occur to 2038, giving Congress more time to ensure long-term solvency of the trust funds, extending the depletion date. So here's the thing. They know that the entire name and purpose of this bill, the Social Security 2100 Act, they know definitively that it may not be enough to fund the retirement and Social Security disability insurance benefits all the way to 2100. So what they're saying here is it will extend the depletion date when a 20% cut to benefits would occur to 2038. It's at 2033 and it will extend it to 2038. Before they were saying this bill will extend it to 2100. Now they know that that's completely unrealistic. All right. Social Security Trust Fund established. Social Security provides all-in-one retirement, survivor, and disability benefits funded through the dedicated FICA contribution paid by workers. There are technically two trust funds, Old Age and Survivors, OASI, that's your retirement, and Disability Insurance, DI, that's your SSDI trust fund, that are usually referred to as the Social Security Trust Fund. This provision combines the OASI and DI trust funds into one Social Security Trust Fund to ensure that all benefits will be paid. This is actually a really scary, terrible provision because here's the thing. Retirement sucks up a lot more money than SSDI benefits. Let me say that again. Retirement sucks up a lot more money than SSDI benefits. If they combine the SSDI benefits with the retirement benefits, then if the retirement benefits side of this thing hits the fan, which it has already, then the SSDI people are really going to get screwed out of having their own trust fund. So this is actually a horrible provision because instead of just creating what we have right now, which is keeping the two trust funds separate, they want to combine them and then basically take the security out of the SSDI people into, 2056, 2057, and then basically throw it into the retirement trust fund option. And now they have the potential of running out whenever the retirees are going to run out. See why it's a bad provision? See why that's a horrible, horrible part of this particular act? And I try to go ahead and just basically give you guys a straight on this. I'm not trying to B2B you, which is like, hey guys, if you want to go ahead and subscribe right now, we will give, I'm not trying to do that with you guys. If you want to subscribe, cool. If you want to go ahead and leave me 5-star reviews, I appreciate those the most. If you want to go ahead and help me, basically continue forward with doing the things that I do, that, 5 stars, the subscribe. If you want to, go ahead. I appreciate it. Now, with that said, we need to talk about basically the nonprofit group real quick, and we need to talk about what's going on with that. So as you know, we are currently going through a process of setting up a nonprofit group that is going to function as an organizer for getting the disabled together to go ahead and vote in one particular direction. And I want you to understand why this is important. I'm going to summarize it. We're not going to spend a lot of time on the summary. What you have is essentially at the very bottom of this whole thing, you have a group called the disabled. They're in the SSI and SSDI category. And this group that is called the disabled, they will go ahead and have, people that are Democrats and Republicans. So let me just split this down for you guys to understand it. Imagine a group, right? Imagine a group that has enough voters in it to change a presidential election, a senator election, a House election, a county election, a state election, whatever, everything. It has the howdy John White, howdy BTJ, howdy Catherine Blair. It has the potential to go ahead and change every election in the United States. That's because the SSI people have, from what I'm seeing, from what I'm representing, more Democrats than Republicans. The SSDI people have more Republicans than Democrats. But there's a split. It's not a perfect split. But if you could tell each one of these parties how to vote specifically to get in people, howdy Small Fries, howdy Jonathan Rodriguez, if you could basically tell these parties which senators to vote for and ignore the whole, hey, this one's a Democrat, this is a Republican, and just go for, hey, this one intends to increase your benefits, then the nonprofit will have done its job. What is the intent of the nonprofit? It's very simple. It's in the name that was chosen last time. Vote to protect disabled.org or v2pd.org. So once again, vote to protect disabled.org. Very simple. Now, where are we at with it? Where we're at with it is I've spoken with my server group. They've started to add security. They've set everything up for me. It's actually going to go live pretty soon where we'll have a template, like a template Joomla website on there. We have to at some point talk. I would love it if one of you guys would call into me when we do the calls. We have to at some point talk specifically about what the color scheme is going to be. Is it going to be a blue thing, a purple thing, a gray, a brown, yellow and orange, red, or whatever? What is the theme color? What is the logo going to look like? What is the website going to have as functions, right? Is it going to be a big like, hey, sign up here? Is it going to be like, hey, we're voting on things here? Is it going to be a, hey, these are the new subscribers here? What is it going to look like? So yeah, if you've got a good logo, Garden, what you can do is upload it to one of those little like, mini URL websites and then put the URL into the chat session so that we can all look at it and have ideas and talk about it. So that's basically the whole thing here is we are next week likely going to be talking about, okay, the template is up. It's not up yet, but it's going to be next week. And we're going to be chatting about what do we want this website to have? And that's going to be the next big thing. So it's really easy. Like if you want to create and upload it here, let me get you a classic one. Upload photo to get URL. So if you guys don't know how to create basically a shareable thingy through here, you just go to like one of those websites, you upload your photo, it gives you a little URL. You then put the URL into the chat section and then we can all click on it. And then that URL allows us to go ahead and basically view the image. So that's where we're at with that. I'm really excited about it. We're going to be doing a whole nonprofit, and the only purpose of it is it's a singular purpose to help the disabled people know who to vote for. It's not a bunch of things. It's not a this and a that. And it's just here's who to vote for to essentially be successful in getting your benefits increased, being less penalized for things, etc. All right. It is now 8:32. I'm now going to go ahead and open up to you guys real quick. That is the phone number. If you have questions, what we're going to do is it would be okay if you from my website, right? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So here's what we're going to do right now. Let's see. That's a weird. So here's what I'm going to be doing going forward. I'm going to go ahead and see if people called in already. I had the phone kind of over there. And then what we'll be doing is, okay, so we have one person here. We're going to get this caller going, and then we should be able to get them live and online. So give me 1 second. We should be good to go. All right, guys, the phone is ringing, and let's see what we've got going on here. Hold on. Hopefully we can get this person on. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. Can you hear me okay? Hey, good sir. So we're live on YouTube right now. Remember to use a fake name. We're going to go live. I'm going to put you on speakerphone. Would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you?
Hearing questions.
Perfect. Good sir. Okay. Now, do you have experience with running hearing questions, or is this one of these things where it's like, first time, first try?
First time.
Okay. All right. So have you watched any of my videos on and specifically, hearing questions or anything like that?
I've watched a few.
Okay.
I have difficulty watching videos in general, so I didn't watch too many.
I gotcha. Okay, no worries. How hard do you want me to go on you with this stuff? Do you want me to be aggressive, or do you want me to kind of take a laid back approach?
Whichever one is I'm most likely to encounter, so probably aggressive.
Okay. Which state are you going to be going ahead and having your hearing?
California.
Okay. All right. Northern California, Southern California, Middle California, where at?
Southern.
Okay, gotcha. No worries. All right, so let's go ahead and begin with this, and we'll get rolling. Good sir, go ahead and state your fake name for the following hearing. Chuck, excellent. Can you walk me through what are your top 5 most severe disabling conditions?
I have visual hallucinations, auditory hallucinations, tactile hallucinations, olfactory hallucinations, and you said symptoms, not conditions, right?
Yeah, so basically your most severe disabling conditions. It sounds like hallucinations. It sounds like mostly of the mind. Walk me through what are your top 5 most severe conditions?
I also have Lyme disease,
Okay,
chronic Lyme disease,
gotcha.
and that comes with a lot of physical pains.
Okay.
So those are my top 5, but if you want a bunch, should I bunch hallucinations all into one? You say hallucination?
Yeah, so I would say hallucinations. We've got the Lyme disease. What else?
Hallucinations, Lyme disease, ism,
I didn't hear the last one. Say the last one again.
hypothyroidism.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It causes lots of fatigue and other stuff, and then immunodeficiency. Something called I forget what it's called, but yeah, immunodeficiency and I'd say Raynaud's syndrome.
Okay, gotcha. Excellent. All right, can you tell me out of all those, which is the most severe physical impairment that you have?
The most severe physical impairment I have is back pain.
Okay, back pain. Okay, gotcha. What is the most severe mental condition that you have?
The schizophrenia hallucinations.
Okay, excellent. How long have you been having the schizophrenia and the hallucinations?
Since 2014.
And when did they become severe?
2014.
And what was the causal effect to cause them?
My doctors think it might be related to the Lyme disease that I got back in 2009. But it's possible that it just started up on its own because I don't have any things that would have caused it, like drug abuse or something like that.
Okay, so walk me through this. What happened in 2014 that you were so certain that they became severe?
With that, I started having visual hallucinations at first, and then the auditory hallucinations consisted mostly of seeing a bunch of orbs and shadows and people moving in and out of my experience that no one else could experience. And then the auditory hallucinations consist mostly of people talking.
Okay, gotcha.
Female voice, and they're very judgmental and torturous, and that's been constant throughout my entire experience with it. And then later on came the tactile hallucinations, I think sometime in 2015, early 2016. And those were very painful, and especially when you take into hallucinations kind of affected each other. The auditory hallucinations hijacked my experience or my narrative, my mental narrative of the tactile hallucinations, and they made my back pain feel like I was being stabbed by knives and things like that.
So walk me through this. Have you had any, suicidal attempts that were recent within the past 2 years?
I haven't had any suicidal attempts, but in 2020, I was detained with a 5150 at a psych ward for being suicidal and homicidal, and that lasted about 2 weeks.
Okay. And you haven't been suicidal since then?
There's a lot of depression that comes with hallucinations because it's something I can't get rid of. And my antipsychotics work, they just make them all worse. So with that, it comes and goes because the hallucinations always tell me to kill myself and things like that. And I can't get rid of them.
Okay. You said a female voice. What does the female voice tell you?
Well, again, she's very torturous and judgmental. So every little thing I do is, in her eyes, wrong or incorrect. And then
does she yell at you about? I mean, everything you do. I mean, is there a particular topic that she goes after you with, and how do you quiet her voice down in your head?
Right. Well, it depends on what I'm doing. It like she'll run with whatever I'm doing and turn that into a total failure. So like right now, I'm communicating with you over the phone, and at the same time, I have this person yelling in my ears. At least that's what the experience is like, and she's trying to convince me that I'm not doing a good job, or that you're judging my answers, or that the people listening in are like secretly behind the scenes watching me talk to you, that kind of thing.
Okay, understood.
It's very distracting.
Does the medication help with hearing the voice?
No, the medications make them worse. I feel really drowsy on them, and I can't do anything other than lie in my bed, and I can't communicate. I get slurred speech. My thoughts are really jumbled, like they usually are. And one of the antipsychotics even sent me to the ER because it had a near-death experience with them. So I'm kind of out of options there.
Okay. So here's the thing. If we were to go ahead and break it down, because one of the things I'm worried about is that you're talking a lot about hallucinations. And it sounds like this is almost like a stemming from a PTSD potential with depression, anxiety, maybe some schizoaffective disorder, panic attacks, stuff like that. Has the doctor gone and split things up specifically for you as to what all of your mental impairments are, or is it just all pinned under this identity of essentially hallucinations?
Well, the primary one, and the primary symptom are the hallucinations. And with that, I guess there are other conditions that can be applied, like anxiety, PTSD, depression, suicidal, because like I mentioned before, the hallucinations are constantly torturous and judgmental. They also constantly threaten my life. So whenever I go outside, they'll threaten to drive by and shoot at me, or if I'm walking in public, they'll pretend to be one of the people around me and that they're going to kill me or something like that. So there's a lot of PTSD with that, and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And the depression comes in again because they constantly tell me to kill myself. I can't get rid of them. I feel like they're in control of me, and I can't do anything about it. So that's kind of all in there. And I'm sure my doctor has considered all that, but he hasn't officially diagnosed me with something like PTSD, for example.
How long have you had the same doctor, reviewing you over, I'm assuming how long have you had this doctor?
I've had my general practitioner since, I think, 2013.
So are you only seeing a PCP right now, which is a general practitioner, or do you have specialists such as, for example, a psychiatrist, psychologist, some sort of doctorate level therapist?
I'm also seeing a psychiatrist right now, but he's more recent. I've been seeing a variety of psychiatrists on and off since, I'd say, 2019. And this one is a forensic psychiatrist, so he's really focusing in on whether or not it might be related to the Lyme disease.
Okay. Help me out with this. And I understand the pinning a lot of this on Lyme disease, and I understand, the combination of, a couple of years before the 2014 era, things started to heat up with the Lyme disease. Walk me through this. What proof do they have that the Lyme disease, and I'm sure you've been medicated to the point where you no longer have Lyme disease. Is that correct?
The Lyme disease is still there. Okay. I still have all the symptoms associated with that, like fatigue, joint pains, especially also muscle pains in the back, inflammation. I think some of the immunodeficiency came from that. I get a lot of viral infections because of it. I get some candida overgrowth and the Raynaud syndrome and adrenal fatigue and heavy metal toxicity and mold toxicity. That's all still an issue, and that's been an issue since I was diagnosed with it in 2013. And I acquired it in 2009, which is why it went. It's become so severe because it's in its chronic stage. I went so long without treatment.
Okay. All right. Help me out with this. Explain to me the work history you had so I understand a little bit better. 2009, 2010, 2011, 2013, 14. What happened?
In 2013, right before I was diagnosed with the Lyme disease and before any of my schizophrenia symptoms, I worked as a counselor at a camp, and for about 4 months in 2016, after the diagnosis and after the schizophrenia symptoms, I worked 4 months as a pet sitter. And then in 2018, for less than a month, I worked as a produce clerk at a grocery store.
Gotcha.
And then I tried working at a church after that, and like immediately after being fired from the co-op, from the grocery store that I was working at. And I resigned on the first day because I was unable to do the duties necessary due to my hallucinations and other symptoms. And then in 2019, August 2019 to August 2020, I did some more pet sitting this time up. And it was about the equivalent of 1/6 of a part-time job. And I eventually had to stop that because of my symptoms. And then I applied for SSI, and now I'm getting SSI, and I'm in the process of getting SSDI.
So you've already got SSI. What was the reasoning for them not giving you SSDI benefits? Was it just you didn't file initially for both programs, or what happened?
Yeah, my initial application was denied because there wasn't enough proof for them that my condition existed prior to when I turned 22 in 2016. I think that's because they didn't have, I didn't get diagnosed until 2019 with the schizophrenia, and I didn't submit enough medical records for them. So I've gone ahead and submitted all of that stuff that they need, and there's plenty of proof that there's hallucinations prior to 2016 because I have letters from my doctors and my therapists from back then.
Help me out. What's your date last insured?
I'm currently insured.
You're currently insured. So you worked a little bit. Your insurance date for your date last insured is forward into time, right? It's 2022, 2023.
Well, I've been insured since my Lyme disease started.
Yeah, but what's your DLI going forward into time? What I'm concerned is your DLI may have run. And what I'm a little bit worried about with that is that if your date last insured has run, you might have to look at a non-mechanical application for basically retroactive benefits to attach to, your old DLI, which may be a problem from a prior denial. You might have a little bit of a legal problem here, is what I'm trying to figure out, because I no doubt that you're disabled. Sure, I gotcha. But there's these rules about date last insured, and essentially, and I hate to put it this way, but there's these rules that dictate essentially whether or not you can get SSDI. And if your date last insured is too far back, then you have to look at the last denial that you had. And if this was a thing where you killed off the prior claim for SSDI benefits, and didn't properly appeal it, then you'd have to rely on what's called the 44.911 statute to extend the 60 days, which may be difficult because you may have restarted a new claim over that original claim, which would then make the old claim moot and kill your opportunity to get onto SSDI benefits unless you worked some more and got some more quarters of coverage. So my question to you is, I think you should go check this out and find out specifically what is your date last insured, and then catch up with me next week and I'll kind of walk you through what you should be doing from there.
I think I've already gone through that with my attorney.
Mm-hmm.
I remember some issues with that. I have things because of hallucinations, so sorry for not being more informed right now. But I, as far as I remember, it wasn't an issue, which is why I'm still going forward with my hearing.
Okay, good. All right, so okay, good. All right, so let me ask you this real quick, and this will be the last tough question that'll pop over to the next person calling. Good sir, can you walk me through why would you be unsuccessful in doing a basic job such as a security officer who would for 6 out of 8 hours be sitting and watching monitors, and 2 out of 8 hours walking about 100 yards and putting an ID badge into the upper right-hand corner of door frame 5 times during that 2-hour period? And also, you would not be interacting with the public, but only bosses with phone calls to notify them if there was a problem. Why would you have a tough time with that job?
The first thing that comes to mind is that the hallucinations, they feed off of authority figures.
Mm-hmm.
So any kind of boss that I might have would aggravate my symptoms so much that I wouldn't be able to function. I wouldn't be able to remember what I'm doing. I wouldn't be able to understand the context I'm in, the time, the location. I wouldn't be able to communicate with anyone. The hallucinations, they also distract me. So the visual hallucinations, they would kind of clip and plant things in my experience that aren't there. Mm-hmm. So if I'm having to monitor a screen for a long period of time, for the sake of security, I wouldn't be reliable in any way because I wouldn't really be monitoring anything other than my hallucinations, overriding the real world. So that's, I think, the biggest problem that I would have. And then also anything repetitive in general, those always aggravate my symptoms as well because it becomes like a mental sinkhole that the hallucination really take over and infect, so to speak. And if there are any coworkers involved, I wouldn't be able to really get along with them because, again, the paranoia is so intense. I'm afraid that people are gonna, kill me or stuff like that. And I think the anxiety being like a part of any job really would also aggravate the symptoms. So take all of that into account. There wouldn't really be a reason to give me that job unless the people giving it to me intend to torture me more, which is probably unlikely, but that's probably the bottom line.
Okay. All right. It needs work. The overall testimony that you're giving. When are you planning to go ahead and review, essentially these questions with your attorney in California, and when is your hearing going to occur?
My hearing is scheduled for November 9th.
Okay, so that is around the corner.
The first part you said?
Yeah. All right. So have you begun to review questions with your attorney relating to this matter?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What are things that you think you could improve with your testimony to do better for that hearing?
I really need to, I think, get more organized, get my thoughts organized and written down because, again, one of my weaknesses is memory. I have a lot of memory loss, and the hallucinations constantly alter my thoughts so that I can't really string together long sentences. So I think
two symptoms for each impairment, when each one started, when each one became severe, what are your medications, what are your side effects, what are the jobs you have in the past 15 years. If you don't have that written out ahead of time, then the basics aren't covered. Like, we can't even get to the cooking, cleaning, laundry, paying bills, transportation, hygiene, getting dressed, transportation. We can't even get to that stuff yet. So, and your hearing is in, I don't know, 10, 12 days. So, good sir, text me after the show and I'll text you the videos I think you should go watch, to kind of help you out, get you rolling in the right direction. I would watch as many videos as you can. I would call out attorney, a couple of times before the hearing, ask her what her brief is showing, ask her, basically what are the best parts of your claim, what are the things you should be worried about, and then run hearing questions with that attorney over and over and over again, because your Medicare is on the line here. You've got SSI Medicaid, your Medicare is on the line. And for mental treatment, Medicare, and I know a lot of people think Medicare is really, really important for surgeries in the physical land, but for continuous, repetitive, good mental treatment, you got to have Medicare. It's just so much better than Medicaid. But anyways, yeah, good sir. Do you have any additional questions for me before I pop over to the next person?
Do you think that my inability to communicate effectively to the judge during the hearing might be strong data in and of itself for my eligibility?
I think that we had a conversation about your impairments, and nowhere in there was there any story, or they called in law the coloring of the story, which is basically where you give something that's an emotional thing that occurred to you that makes us believe you are disabled. There was nothing in there of any of that. And what's worrying me a little bit is that you're struggling with the memory aspect of just trying to answer the question, which means you've probably never heard that question before, or you just can't collect the data in your brain to say, here's what I want to present. How is the best way that I'm going to present it? And that just comes from repetition. Even if you have memory problems or you have a hard time just big picturing stuff, that just comes from repetition. So my suggestion, good sir, and I think this is super duper important, get really strong with the basics, and I'll send you a text message with the basic questions, because you could have a judge in there. And I want to explain something that's important for everybody. When you go in front of a judge, the attorney is not allowed to lead you. We're not allowed to do a lot of leading questions. Do I do a lot of leading questions during disability hearings, more so than any other type of hearing? Yeah, because you guys are all over the damn place. And even with my guys who are more prepared than I think most attorneys who do this, because we have so many videos out on how to do it, I think what's important to understand is that you guys will hear something worded slightly differently, or you'll hear something that's, after a question that you were ready for, and then your brain kind of just shut off after that point. And then I'll have to pump prime your brain to get it rolling again for that question. So we're not supposed to give a lot of leading questions. The judges will get on us. They will do their version of I object. They'll say, counselor, leading questions, let's, that's what they'll do. That's how they'll phrase it. That's what they'll do in those hearings. So I don't think a lot of people realize how incredibly important it is for the claimant to have a strong amount of knowledge in how this works, because at the end of the day, we can't save you when you do major screw ups. We can only fix medium and minor screw ups. When we're doing that direct examination and that cross examination, we only have so much room to fix things that you might say. Like, I had one claimant who I was asking, okay, well, how far do you think you can walk during an 8-hour workday? About 100 feet, at first. And I was like, okay, well, walk me through this repetitively. How many times could you walk 100 feet over an 8-hour workday? Walking 100 feet, resting, walking 100 feet. 50 or 60 times. I'm just, my brain is going, how did we get to this? We've covered this before. He knows this. He's perfect on this. How did he say that? It's purely just that the brain goes somewhere else. And you've got to be at the point where you conceptualize the question the moment it hits your brain. You know the answers that are acceptable in your head. You look at your pages in front of you and you deliver the information as best as you can. Now, you're a hallucination situation, which means that there's always something going on in the back. And a lot of people don't get hallucinating people. They have it some of the worst out of all of the impairments. And the reason why is they can be suicidal, they can be homicidal, they can hate on themselves constantly. And when they do that, it's just, it's one of those things where you have to be able to go ahead and show exactly what's going on with your impairments, even though normally and unfortunately you would not be able to answer these questions. But if you don't answer these questions well, the judge doesn't get a good idea as to who you are. That's the tricky thing, All right. Well, good, sir. You have a wonderful, wonderful night,
Thank you, you too.
Thank you, good sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, guys. So somebody kept calling over and over. Let me just call that person back. I did miss a few other ones, but that person obviously really wants me to. Let me just take this call real quick. Okay, here we go, guys. It's ringing. Let's see if we can get this person on the phone real quick. Let's see what we can get. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. I'm with Disability Resolution PA. We're going to go live on YouTube. Would you like me to answer a specific question or run a hearing questions? And remember to use a fake name throughout this process.
Yeah, I just have a pretty easy question.
Sure.
I got disability about 5 years ago. And what I wanted to ask was that when they told me they were gonna give me disability, but they said they weren't going to give me no back pay. Mm-hmm. Can they do that?
Yeah, they can do that. They can change your alleged onset date to be like, the month before the month in which you're found disabled. So yeah, they can do that. I had a guy where it was a retribution thing. And, at least I believe it was, where he was a famous drug dealer and they went ahead and took away all of his back pay. He was clearly disabled, but they took away all of his back pay. And it's a retribution thing. You then have to make the choice. It's really a you and your attorney, because your attorney is going to know the rules for amending alleged onset dates, what's acceptable, what would go through with the judge, what could you take to appeals counsel and be successful. Yeah, I mean, in those cases, when you don't have an attorney, you don't give up the right, but it's kind of almost like you're just giving up the knowledge base to get more back pay. Make sure that, your CDRs are set up properly as to when you're likely to have you're just giving up a lot of, options. But yeah, man, essentially you said they could take away your back pay. They could amend your alleged onset date, give you not a fully favorable, but just a partially favorable. And then you'd be stuck with basically just forward pay, and they'd kill off all your back pay.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Walter. I love the show, man.
Thank you. Good
I always wondered, it's just that I was pushed into a corner because I needed the money. And when they said that, I kind of didn't argue with them. And I guess they know that. So, but I understand now. You answered my question. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, good sir. And how long ago was it the decision took place?
Oh, I'm going to say maybe 5 years ago.
Okay, yeah. If it was like 6 months ago, I might be able to resurrect it and take it to AC. But 5 years ago, it's too old of a claim at that point. But keep if as things evolve, keep rolling forward. And if you have any additional questions, I'm always here.
Yeah, thank you, Walter. I watch you all the time.
Thank you.
Your time.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, I'm going to call the next person. There's a lot of people at the same. Did I call this person? I don't know. All right, I'm just going to call this person. Here we go, guys. We have person number, I think, three that we're going to be calling. Here we go. It's ringing. Here we go. Let's see what we can get on the phone. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott, Disability Resolution PA. We are live on YouTube. Please remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you?
Actually, I was calling because I wanted to call and thank you. because I got approved.
Good.
I called you a couple months before and spoken to you.
Sure.
I'm going to use the same fake name actually. This is Heath Ledger again.
Ah,
so
good.
I don't know if you recall last time I called you, but the reason I'm calling is I kind of have a unique situation where I was set to have a hearing, and the judge actually canceled the hearing and approved my case before having a hearing. I didn't know they could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead. Give me the fact pattern.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to call and thank you because I've throughout the year I've watched a lot of your videos and taken a lot of notes, and I think it's really helped me to the extent where I actually didn't have to go before the judge, and I attribute a lot of that not to luck but to following your tips and the information you put out on the internet has been very helpful.
Excellent. And I really appreciate it, good sir. The best part of it is I get to have a lot of people, not just who I've represented, but also that I haven't represented, who are able to get disability benefits, and then they lead a much, much better life than, literally not having funds coming in. And what happened in your case is called an OTR. It's an on the record review where the judge basically says, okay, within the records, there's enough information. And you'll usually see judges not wanting to do OTRs because the SSA will keep, basically a percentage analysis review of it to see how many OTRs these judges would do. And if the judges just did a bunch of OTRs, then there would be no purpose for having regional ALJ offices, and they'd make them all basically move to some general, central area in some godforsaken state to do all these hearings telephonically or basically OTRs. So the kicker here is basically this. He looked at the evidence, or she looked at the evidence in your claim. And as a result of that, they basically said, okay, this person looks to be disabled, looks to meet either the vocational allowance requirements, grading requirements, listing requirements, or compassion allowance listing requirements. And at that point, they wrote up a brief as I'm guessing, fully favorable or partially favorable based on what was going on with their claim. Did they change your alleged onset date at all when you were found disabled?
So actually, I don't know the exact details yet because I have not gotten the letter yet. My attorney called me and basically told me, hey, they did an OTR, I believe is what you called it.
Yeah.
And approved your case. He did tell me that they did push back my date so that way I would be found disabled prior to the age of 22. So that way, if my parent dies or retires, I can enact the DAC benefits. And so I'm assuming since they pushed the date back, I would be receiving the full back pay. My other question is, when do you actually get the back pay after an OTR? Does it take longer because it's more of a rare event for that to happen, or?
It doesn't take longer. So what happens is the OHO level, which is the hearing office level, will go ahead and submit their decision, which in this case would be a partially favorable since they're moving your AOD back to prior to when you were 22, which is they're setting you up for disabled adult child benefits, probably not SSI, not SSDI, but the special disabled adult child benefits. And what happens is they'll send it off to the local FO, the local field office for your area. They will begin the processing stages, and then basically they'll go ahead and essentially assign that to a person at their office that will process payment details. It'll take about a month and a week for you to start getting your back pay payments, and it'll take about a month to 2 weeks from your letter that you received to go ahead and start receiving your forward pay benefits. However, throughout that process, you will be getting a phone call for a pre-effectuation interview. A pre-effectuation interview is essentially where you get a call from the local FO people, the field office people, and they ask you a bunch of questions of who you're living with, who's paying for stuff, blah, blah, blah. If you did not have a loan agreement throughout that process, which you probably did because you had an attorney, but if you did not have a loan agreement, they may and likely will try to apply what's called the 1/3 reduction rule to you, which is where they'll try to reduce your back pay benefits by 1/3 for each month that somebody was helping you out with where you were living, or maybe some money each month and things like that.
Oh no, I think you got it. I think you think I'm on SSI. I'm on SSDI or approved for SSDI. They moved my onset date before the age of 22, so that way if my parent, you know, is disabled or retires, that I could qualify to draw off their record for the DAC benefits.
Right. So that would not be, yeah, that wouldn't be SSI, that wouldn't be SSDI, that would be DAC. Yeah. Which is Disabled Adult Child Benefits, very unique program specifically for children who are between 18 and 22 to be able to tap into the benefits of a parent so that they actually get a higher amount of benefits. But it's not SSI, it's not SSDI, it's its own unique Disabled Adult Child Benefit, DAC. Yeah.
Well, I was told I'd be drawn off because I'm insured, so they said I'd be drawn off my own SSDI, and then in the event that my parent retires, becomes disabled or deceased, I would just get a higher benefit because I would start drawing off their record. And my attorney told me that my I guess all the rules that you follow, it's pretty much the same as SSDI.
Yeah.
Or...
So the way it works is, and here's the deal. Yes, you're correct. It is like you're getting your own version of SSDI, but we all in the industry just call it DAC because, and especially in your case, you're probably younger, which means you haven't had a lot of time to earn credits and have higher amounts earned. So your SSDI amount is itty bitty. And as a result of that, the amount that's coming from your parents' benefits will significantly boost that. I'm assuming you had a parent that worked a lot in your family. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So in that regard, yes, you're right. It starts with your SSDI benefits, but your DAC from your parents will then basically take over, and that'll be pretty much the whole kit and caboodle for the majority of it, because at the end of the day, what's your current age? I'm guessing like 25, 26.
Yeah, you got it, 25.
Yeah, so basically at the end of the day, most of the benefits are going to be coming from your parents' benefits because, you just, your age, you haven't had any time to really, make larger amounts of money, put in a lot of quarters of coverage and stuff like that. Although the system does support people who are under 30 with a much simpler and easy system to get benefits, it's just not nearly at the level of what, you could be able to draw from your parents. But here's the important thing, and this is so crucial. You now are on the DAC program. If you ever get denied and kicked off of that program and you don't appeal it successfully, then you will be stuck with only SSI benefits. Do you know how that works?
Not exactly. So I want to be able to be on SSDI on my own record.
No. So here's the deal.
Go on DAC and get kicked off.
So let's say you go through one of those CDRs where they're going to review you to see if you're still disabled 15 years from now. 15 years from now, they say, well, you've improved. We no longer think you're as severe as you used to be. And as a result of that, we're going to go ahead and take away your benefits. You then go ahead and appeal, get denied, and then you give up. What happens is you give up your DAC benefits and also any SSDI that's being put in, right? Because at that point, your date last insured was way back in the day, probably 7 years ago, 8 years ago, which means that the only option you have left is SSI. So you have to, more so than any other class of individual receiving disability benefits, protect your disability benefits because you have the most to lose.
I see. Is this only when I start going on the DAC benefits after my parents, one of my parents is disabled, deceased, or I'm stuttering here. You know what I mean? Like if I'm drawing on my SSDI right now, which is what I was told is going to happen until the event that something happens with my parents. I don't got to worry about that until I'm actually on DAC drawing from my parents' social.
So none
record,
of them,
right?
Yeah, none of them have vested yet. None of them have passed away. None of that stuff, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So then the judge was giving you a helping hand here because usually the judges, what I see in Florida, they would have been like, nope, we'll take you back to 23, but not 22. Unless there was like a sure thing that they were going to be able to tap you for the 22 DAC option. So in this case, the sad thing is this. No, the same thing applies. Let's say 15 years down the line, you still don't vest with your DAC benefits, and you're just stuck with the smaller SSDI benefits. What will happen is if you go ahead and get denied through CDR, and then like let's say 3 years down the line of you appealing and getting denied and appealing and getting denied, you give up. Then at that point, you will have lost your option for SSDI benefits and your DAC benefits. And basically the only option you'd be able to take would be your SSI benefits.
Well, wouldn't that be the same scenario with just regular SSDI? Because you're at some point you would run out of your date last insured would run out appealing it, and if you gave up, you would essentially just be uninsured.
Yeah, that's why whether you had the DAC benefits or the SSDI benefits, 15 years down the line, if your date last insured ran out, you would have to take SSI if you filed again and were successful to be found disabled. Or what you could